Be a journey full of the unknown. The Orient Express. Where would the fantasy end and reality begin? Soon, I would know.
Journey with Mike Hegedus on the Orient Express, tonight at 11, only on Channel 5.
Gay Paris. It is from this city's east station that the Istanbul Orient Express departs. Ahead, 1,500 miles across 7 countries and cultures to Istanbul. Stop 1 is Vienna. From Vienna, it's on to Budapest. And of the 78 passengers on this special train, C.J. Hinshaw of Tipton, Indiana, a retired junior high school principal, just might be the best traveled.
I've been in Russia twice, China once, India, climbed the pyramids and seen the Taj Mahal, and I have also swum the Amazon River where it was 210 feet deep and 2 miles wide.
Hinshaw and the rest of us experience Budapest for just a day before it's off to the capital of Romania, Bucharest. It is not a fun spot. But when it comes time to head up into the Transylvanian Alps, a steam locomotive means nothing but. Dracula's castle greets us at the end of our ride. And from Romania, it's off through Bulgaria onto the Black Sea to sail down the Bosphorus into Istanbul, the place where Europe and Asia are joined by a bridge and a mix of cultures. Quite a trip. An experience, a true adventure. Mike Hegedus, Channel 5, Eyewitness News. The familiar sights and sounds of Paris, but for those with an interest in the Orient Express, there is a Parisian spot a little less renowned but famous all the same. The Gare de l'Est, Paris's East Railroad Station.
And this is platform number 4. Now, it was over 100 years ago that the Orient Express departed from here, and it is from here that our train is going to depart. Now, are we on the Orient Express? Yes and no.
The confusion stems from the fact that there are currently 4 trains in one way or another called the Orient Express. A regularly scheduled daily run from Paris to Bucharest, Romania, and then 3 recreations of what the Orient Express used to be. The Nostalgia Orient Express from Paris to Istanbul or Istanbul to Paris. The Venice Simplon Orient Express from Paris to Venice. And the trip we're taking, the Istanbul Orient Express, a 20-day trip that traces the route the very first Orient Express took in 1883. Philip Morel, who heads up Voyage, Jules Verne, a company that specializes in train adventures worldwide, first came up with the idea for his version of the Orient Express 5 years ago. He's a lover of trains, and while airplanes and airports are convenient, they are anything but romantic.
They become synthesized into one, and so they destroy the very sense of arriving at a magical destination. And one of the classical magical destinations is Constantinople.
Back on platform 4 at the Gare de l'Est in Paris, 78 of us are readying to board our train to adventure to Constantinople, Istanbul. Passengers include 4 American women living in Norway who even dress the part, a retired principal from Tipton, Indiana, 2 couples from the Bay Area, doctors, lawyers, a druggist, each looking for something special.
Well, I'm hoping that it will be the flavor of all the different countries at that period in time.
Well, I've always been one to look for the unknown and the adventuresome in my life.
And this is it.
And this is it. Oh boy, it's going to be it too.
I'm pretty
This fixes it right up. Puts a new tone on the whole thing.
The Orient Express and Agatha Christie and all the romance and fun about it.
The steam locomotive's boiler running hot, and with engineer Jean-Charles Doré ready, at precisely 6:10 p.m., the Istanbul Orient Express pulls slowly out of Paris. Ahead, 1,500 miles, 7 different countries and cultures, and maybe, just maybe, a touch of intrigue.
Good evening, sir.
Aboard the Istanbul Orient Express, Mike Hegedus, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Nightcast. Chateau Thierry, a village 50 miles outside of Paris. The town folks have come out to look at what? Us. The Istanbul Orient Express has pulled in to take on water. It's an event.
Well, we are once again rolling through the French countryside. It is just about 8:20 now, and we've come to that moment that most of us have been waiting for. Dinner.
And quite a meal it is, too. 5 courses, fish, veal, artichokes, all fresh, all prepared on the train by this man, Rémi Soubard. He's been cooking on trains for 34 years. Clickety-clack cuisine. The toughest part? Loosely translated, the darn kitchen is too small. Welcome to Austria. We have slept overnight on the train for the only time on the trip, and now the place Beethoven called home is coming up around the next bend, Vienna. That dinner on the train is starting to wear off, isn't it? How about a little something to munch on?
And there are few things more Viennese to munch on than Sachertorte, and no other place to find the original than here at the Sacher Hotel.
Sachertorte, a chocolate delight invented 56 years ago by an apprentice cook named Franz Sacher. It is now made all over Austria and shipped all over the world. But nowhere, it's said, does it taste like it does here, the Sacher Hotel. It's the original.
The recipe is not a real secret, but it's made out of the best things you get.
I'm convinced. A Viennese orchestra playing Viennese music in Vienna. There are worse ways to spend an evening.
Too much culture for you, then you could always try something like this. This is a traditional Austrian wine house where they serve what else? Traditional Austrian wine.
In Vienna, Mike Hegedus, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Nightcast. Early morning, and the countryside rolling by belongs to Austria, but it won't for long. We're on our way to Budapest, Hungary.
And the thing that makes this part of the trip particularly special is the fact that our 2 private cars have been hooked up to the only real train that still carries the name, the Orient Express.
It's a daily train between Paris and Bucharest, carrying mostly immigrant workers. Our party will be detached in Budapest. But first, we have to cross the frontier, the border between East and West. We are warned not to take pictures at any of the crossing points, either going into Hungary or eventually into Romania. But we decide it's important to try for a few to give you the feeling we got. You get a hint from all the uniforms, and you can almost see it in the faces of the people. We're leaving a little freedom behind. One of those traveling with us is C.J. Hinshaw of Tipton, Indiana, 45 miles north of Indianapolis, a retired junior high school principal, and it turns out that this isn't his first time behind the Iron Curtain.
I've been in Russia twice, China once, India, climbed the pyramids and seen the Taj Mahal, and I have also swum the Amazon River where it was 210 feet deep and 2 miles wide.
Well, C.J., you are about to add Budapest to your list.
Elég szépek, jók a látási viszonyok, nem nagyon párás, úgyhogy szerencse már az
Now we get to sort of a personal thrill of mine of being in Budapest. This is the phone book, and this is the only city in the world where you can open it up and see a whole page and a half of Hegedus's.
You see, Hegedus is a Hungarian name. Hegedus is the local pronunciation. With a name like that, can gypsy music be far behind? Throw in some goulash soup and you've got an evening. Hungarian cuisine. The key to which is what?
Paprika potato. Yeah, it's a very simple thing. Onions, roasted. After paprika powder, potatoes, some water, and sausage or without sausage.
A little too much Tokaj wine makes the next day train trip to Romania seem more like 20 hours instead of 10. And as for our Indiana ambassador, what did he do last night?
Got to talking to some of the local people through an interpreter, and we became good friends, and I got one of their addresses and 2 of their names, and hopefully I can write back and forth to them.
Aboard the Istanbul Orient Express, Mike Hegedus, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Nightcast. If W.C. Fields had seen Bucharest, he would have built a house in Philadelphia. A stark gray place, the capital of Romania. Our stay in this city of little consequence, except for the people. The history of Eastern Europe stamped in the faces of the old, and genuine freshness reflected in the faces of the young. A kindergarten class outside the Bucharest Opera House. Once again, train-bound, we're heading for the Romanian town of Sinaia in the Transylvanian Alps. And for the second time on the journey, we're being pulled by steam. As bleak as Bucharest was, is as rich as Sinaia and the surrounding area is. It's the site of the Peles Castle, built by King Carol I in the late 1800s. Nicolae Perduraru of the Romanian Ministry of Tourism points out, Carol was a king who knew his royal mind. He picked the location himself.
His architect said, Your Majesty, this hill has got hundreds of springs underneath. They said, well, drain them away.
By the way, the passengers on the original run of the Orient Express back in 1883 visited here too, but King Carol made them walk up from the station in the rain.
We have now traveled between 45 and 50 miles north of Sinaia into the province of Transylvania. And the castle? Well, it dates to 1377, and one of its previous owners was a fellow by the name of Vlad the Impaler. Perhaps